I'm Naomi, I'm 34, and I did something in Vegas I haven't even said out loud until now. I told myself it was just to clear my head, just one impulsive weekend to feel something again. But now my whole family knows. My mom, my little sister, even my husband. I can't take it back. And the worst part? I don't think I want to. Before you judge me, or try to understand me, you should know, I wasn't always like this. I used to be the kind of woman who had everything under control. Married to my college sweetheart. Steady career. Good house in the suburbs with a porch swing and rosemary in the garden. Daniel and I had been together for 12 years. Married for 9. Safe. Solid. At one point, it was sexy, too. God, we couldn't keep our hands off each other that first year. He used to slide his hand across my back when I'd do dishes, whisper in my ear in crowded rooms, pull me into the bedroom in the middle of the day just because. There was heat. There was want. I felt wanted. But slowly, and I can't even tell you the exact year it started, it faded. The affection stayed, but it changed. His kisses became quick, habitual, like a formality. I remember one night, maybe last fall, he leaned in to kiss me goodnight, and I felt nothing. It was soft, polite, but there was no hunger behind it. It was like kissing a roommate. I remember thinking, God, is this what we've become? We still cuddled. But it was like sharing a blanket with a warm body, not a partner. No sparks. No pull. And when he hugged me, it felt like a duty, like he was trying to prove something rather than feel something. I asked him once, over breakfast, if he still found me sexy. He laughed and said, "Of course I do. Don't be silly." But he didn't look up from his phone when he said it. I don't think he meant to be cruel. I think he thought everything was fine. Meanwhile, I was disappearing. I started fantasizing about being seen. Not just sexually, emotionally. I wanted someone to ask me how I really was. Someone to notice when I wore a new dress, or when I stayed quiet for too long. Daniel didn't notice when I dyed my hair darker last winter. He didn't notice when I stopped sleeping in the bed some nights and stayed on the couch watching Netflix. He didn't notice when I cried in the bathroom after his mother's birthday dinner because he'd ignored me all evening. He just didn't see me anymore. Vegas came out of nowhere. My best friend Kira invited me on a weekend trip, last minute all-girls thing, after her messy breakup. She said, "You need this more than I do." And maybe I did. But what I didn't expect was how fast I would unravel the moment we landed. The air was hot, the drinks were cold, the music was loud, and for the first time in years, I wasn't someone's wife. I wasn't waiting on Daniel to call or texting him updates about dinner plans. I was just Naomi. And people saw me. Not just the guys, though yeah, there were two, but the women, too. The bartenders. The girl in the bathroom who said my lipstick was perfect. Strangers noticed me in ways Daniel hadn't in years. But that part of the story, the night it happened, I'll get to later. Right now, I'm stuck on the exact moment I realized something had shifted between me and Daniel, something irreversible. We were sitting on the couch one evening, watching some mindless show. His hand was on my thigh, casual. I turned to look at him, just to see him, and his eyes were glassy with the glow of the TV. I whispered his name. He didn't even hear me. That's when it hit me. He was touching me, but he wasn't with me. And I didn't even feel the need to call him back. I just went quiet. And something inside me went quiet, too. Daniel's a high school English teacher. The kind of man who volunteers to chaperone dances and stays late to help his students with college essays. He's kind, generous, dependable. Every one of my friends used to say I was lucky to have him. And I believed them for a long time. But lately, being with him feels like trying to read a book in a language I forgot how to speak. One morning, not long before Vegas, I came downstairs and found he'd made me breakfast. Scrambled eggs. Burnt toast. Coffee with exactly 3 sugars, just how I used to take it. I say used to because I haven't taken sugar in my coffee in almost a year. I changed after that health scare last spring. I told him. More than once. He placed the mug in front of me with this sweet, expectant look on his face, like he was waiting for applause. I smiled. I said thank you. I drank it anyway. But inside, something ached. He thought he was being loving. And in a way, he was. But how do you explain to someone that a small act of kindness can hurt when it reminds you how little they're really paying attention? That night, he touched me in bed. The kind of touch that used to thrill me. His hand tracing my hip, slipping under my shirt. And I lay there frozen in my body, soft in my smile, trying not to ruin the moment. Because this was him trying. I knew that. But it felt like obligation. Or desperation. Or maybe just the rhythm of routine. He kissed my neck and whispered, "God, I miss this." And that should have melted me. It used to. Instead, I thought, "You miss the sex. But do you miss me?" I pulled away gently, pretending I was too tired. I said something about work stress. He rolled over quietly. Didn't push. Didn't ask. The next morning, he kissed my forehead before leaving for school. The kind of kiss a parent gives a child. I stood there at the window after he left, watching him pull out of the driveway, my hand wrapped around a mug of bitter coffee. That weekend, we argued about the dishwasher. It sounds ridiculous, I know. But if you've ever been in a long-term relationship, you know it's never about the dishes. I'd asked him, again, not to pile everything in without rinsing. It sounds so stupid writing it down, but I was tired. Of cleaning up after him. Of repeating myself. Of being ignored. "I just don't see why it matters," he said, slamming the cabinet door harder than he needed to. "It matters to me," I said quietly. He stared at me for a moment, then said, "Why are you always looking for a fight lately?" That broke me in a way I didn't expect. Because I wasn't looking for a fight. I was looking for a connection. For recognition. For proof that I still mattered in our daily orbit. "I'm not," I whispered, turning away. "I'm just tired of being the only one who notices things." He walked over and wrapped his arms around me from behind, like he thought holding me tight could fix everything. His chin on my shoulder. His breath warm against my neck. But it felt like he was trying to hold on to something slipping out of his hands. And I didn't have the strength to reassure him anymore. "You know I love you, right?" he murmured. I nodded. Because I did know. But I also knew that loving someone isn't the same as seeing them. And in that moment, being held so tightly and feeling so far away, I realized you can be touched every day and still starve for intimacy. It was a Tuesday night, the kind where the house is too quiet, and you can hear the hum of the refrigerator like it's trying to fill the silence between you. Daniel was chopping garlic for pasta, his cheer-up meal. He made it every time I was stressed, like food could fix what words couldn't. He stood there in his faded college t-shirt, sleeves rolled up, forearms dusted in flour. He looked good. Familiar. Like home. And yet, something in me was locked shut. He turned to me with a smile, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Hey," he said, coming closer. "Come here for a sec." I was sitting at the table, pretending to scroll through my phone. I looked up, startled. He leaned in and kissed me. Soft at first. Then a little deeper, like he was testing the waters. His hand slid down to the small of my back, then lower, landing with a playful smack on my butt. I flinched. I didn't mean to, but it happened. A reflex I didn't even understand. I stepped back and gave him a thin smile. "You always do that," I said, trying to sound amused. He frowned, eyes searching mine. "You used to like it." "I guess I'm just tired," I said, avoiding eye contact. There was a beat of silence. Then he reached for me again, slower this time. Hands on my waist. "Hey, talk to me. You've been a ghost all week." I stared at the floor. My heart was pounding for no reason. "It's just work stuff," I said, too quickly. "Deadlines and I don't know. I've just been off." He nodded, like he was trying to believe me. Then leaned in again. This time the kiss lasted longer. It was warm. His tongue grazed mine, familiar, practiced. But there was something missing, or maybe something too much. I kissed him back because I thought I should. But it felt like performing affection, like remembering a dance from years ago and realizing halfway through the steps don't fit your body anymore. I broke away first. He looked hurt. Just for a second. Then covered it with a chuckle and a shake of his head. "You really are in your head lately," he said, turning back to the stove. I sat back down, picked up my phone again even though the screen was blank. I didn't know how to say what I was feeling without sounding cruel or broken or ungrateful, because I wanted to want him. God, I wanted that. But every time he touched me now, I felt like I was disappearing. Not because he was doing anything wrong, he was trying. But the space between us wasn't physical. It was emotional, and getting wider by the day. I stared at the pasta boiling over on the stove, bubbles hissing against the metal. And I thought, why does everything have to turn into sex? We were supposed to be celebrating. Daniel had made reservations at our favorite little Italian place, the one with the wobbly tables and too loud jazz music, where we used to go on anniversaries before we got too busy for traditions. He even wore the light blue button-down I once told him made his eyes look like summer. I noticed that, and hated that I noticed. I tried, really tried, to meet him halfway that night. I curled my hair, wore the red wrap dress he liked, shaved my legs. All of it felt like armor I didn't want to put on, but I told myself maybe if I looked the part, I'd feel it again. Feel us. The wine came. We clinked glasses. He smiled across the table, touching my hand. "You look beautiful," he said softly. "I've missed this." I smiled, or something like a smile. "Yeah, me too." It was a lie. I was exhausted from pretending, from dragging my heart through the motions like it owed him something it didn't have anymore. And maybe that wasn't fair, but it was real. Halfway through the risotto, he leaned in and said, "You know, we could get away soon. Just the two of us. Maybe Vegas. You used to love it there." Vegas. The word landed in my stomach like a stone. I looked at him, and something in me snapped. "Why do you always think a vacation is going to fix everything?" I said, too sharply. He blinked. "I didn't mean, I just thought we needed time together. Away from all the noise." "I am the noise, Daniel," I whispered, barely keeping it together. "Don't you get it? It's not the job or the city or whatever excuse we keep recycling. It's us. We don't talk anymore. We don't see each other. You just want to screw your way back into closeness, and I'm drowning." The words hung in the air like smoke. He put his fork down slowly. "Wow," he said under his breath. "Okay." I could feel people at the neighboring tables trying not to stare. The jazz music kept playing, stupidly upbeat. "I didn't mean to say it like that," I added quickly, panic rushing in now that the floodgates were open. I can't keep pretending everything's fine when I feel like I'm disappearing." Daniel leaned back, arms crossed. His eyes were hard now, guarded. "So, what do you want from me, huh? To stop touching you? To stop trying?" "I don't know," I said. I wanted to feel real again. I want me to feel real again." He looked at me like I was a stranger. "Are you seeing someone else?" I laughed, too loud and too sad. "No. God, no. But that says everything, doesn't it? The second I speak up, you think I'm cheating. Like it couldn't just be that I'm empty." We left in silence. I cried in the car, quietly, biting the inside of my cheek to keep from sobbing. He didn't say a word the whole ride home. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed while he changed into sweatpants and shut the bathroom door without looking at me. I stared at my reflection in the dark window. My makeup smudged, my heart louder than it should have been. I felt like the villain and the victim all at once. How did we get here? How did I turn into this woman who flinches when her husband touches her and ruins dinner over a vacation suggestion? And then I thought again about what he'd said, Vegas, and how 1 month later I would find myself in that exact city, doing something I never thought I was capable of, trying to feel something. Anything. I wrapped my arms around myself that night like it was the only kind of holding I could stand. And the shame started to sink in before the affair even happened. It was like we hit a wall and neither of us wanted to be the first to turn around and face it. After that dinner, that implosion, things didn't go back to normal. They didn't even try. Daniel stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. He still made coffee, still left mine by the sink the way he always did, but he didn't wait for me to say goodbye. He was gone before I even stepped into the kitchen. And me? I stopped texting him during the day. Stopped asking how work was. Stopped pretending we were okay. We moved around each other like ghosts, polite, distant, almost careful. Our apartment became quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. It felt like a waiting room or a church right after the choir stopped singing. Sometimes I caught him looking at me. Not angry, not even sad, just tired. And I hated how familiar that look felt, because it was exactly how I felt too. One night, I came home late from work. My phone had died. He didn't call to check. When I walked in, he was on the couch, TV on, remote in his hand, muted. Just sitting there in the blue flicker of the screen, watching nothing. "Hey," I said softly. He looked up, nodded. "Hey." That was it. I took a shower, cried under the water, wondered if he was out there, crying too, or if he just didn't care anymore. We hadn't touched in weeks, and it wasn't just the sex. I missed the way he used to put his hand on my lower back in the grocery store. The way he used to tuck my hair behind my ear when I was rambling. The way he'd lay his head on my chest like a kid when he couldn't sleep. God, I missed him. But every time I thought about walking up to him, touching his arm, asking him if he wanted to talk, I'd freeze. Because what if he said no? Or worse, what if he said yes, and I couldn't bring myself to feel anything again? One night, I walked past the bathroom and saw the door half open. He was standing at the sink, shirtless, brushing his teeth. Just standing there like it was any other night in any other marriage. And my chest ached with how much I used to love that. The simple things. Watching him exist. He looked up and saw me in the mirror. We locked eyes. But neither of us said a word. Later, I laid in bed and stared at the ceiling. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the soft click of his laptop in the next room. He'd stopped sleeping beside me 4 nights ago. Said he was working late, needed space. I didn't fight him, but I felt like I was slowly being erased from our life, our home. And still, I wasn't sure if I was the one doing the erasing or him. I wanted to reach for him, to say something, anything, but I didn't know how. How do you say I still love you when even you don't know if it's true? How do you say come back when you were the one who left emotionally first? I pulled the blanket tighter and curled up into myself. And I asked the question I'd been avoiding for weeks. Do I want to fix this? Or do I just want to stop feeling like a failure? Somewhere between those two answers was the truth. And in the dark, with his side of the bed cold and untouched, I made a decision. I go to Vegas next week. Alone. Not to run away, but to figure out if I wanted to come back. Vegas didn't fix me. That's probably not a surprise. I didn't go to party or get wild, not at first, anyway. I booked a room that overlooked the strip, but all I could see was the space in my life that Daniel used to fill. I thought distance would bring clarity. It didn't. It just made the silence between us louder. But here's the thing. The more days passed, the more I saw myself from the outside. A woman who had everything she thought she wanted. A stable relationship, a smart, kind man, and somehow still felt lost. Still aching. Still lonely. I didn't cheat in Vegas because I was reckless. I did it because I was starving. For connection. For desire that didn't feel like a demand. For someone to see me and not expect me to perform wholeness I didn't have. But I won't talk about that part yet. That's its own storm. When I came home, Daniel was sitting at the dining table with his laptop closed, coffee mug in front of him even though it was already late evening. He looked up. Eyes steady, unreadable. "Hey," he said. His voice was gentle. Too gentle. "Hey." I didn't drop my bags. I didn't cross the room. I stood there like a stranger in my own life. He nodded toward the chair across from him. Sit? I did. Slowly. We sat in silence for a long moment, both of us unsure who was supposed to break it. Finally, he exhaled. Did you find what you needed? I looked at him, really looked. His face was more tired than I remembered. Or maybe just more honest. There wasn't anger in his voice. There wasn't begging, either. That scared me. I don't know, I said. I don't even know what I was looking for. He nodded, looked down at his hands. Okay. Another silence passed. Then he said something so quiet, I almost didn't catch it. I stopped waiting for you to come back a while ago. My throat tightened. What does that mean? He looked at me, and God, it wasn't cold. It was worse. It was kind. It was soft. It means I'll always care about you, he said. But I think we stopped being in love a long time ago. We just didn't want to admit it. My eyes burned. I reached across the table, touched his hand. He let me. I miss you, I whispered. I miss you too, he said. But I think we miss a version of each other that doesn't exist anymore. And there it was. No yelling. No blaming. Just truth. And heartbreak. Later that night, I found him asleep on the couch. Curled up under the throw blanket, his mouth slightly open, a quiet hum in his chest. I stood there for a long time, watching him. I wanted to crawl beside him, press my face to his back, pretend this was just another night. Instead, I walked over and kissed him on the forehead. He stirred, blinked, and looked up at me with those soft, sad eyes. I love you, I said, my voice shaking. I know, he murmured. Me too. He didn't ask me to stay. I didn't ask him to fight. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cruel. But in that moment, I knew. We weren't going to make it. And somehow, that felt like love, too. I never meant to become that woman. You know, the one who goes to Vegas, drinks too much, and wakes up with more than just regret, wakes up with two strangers and a version of herself she barely recognizes. I didn't go there to cheat. I went there to feel wanted, powerful, messy, free, anything but numb. But the truth is, I was already gone before I left. What happened in Vegas didn't ruin my relationship. It just revealed the cracks I'd been wallpapering over with routine and politeness and obligatory kisses goodnight. Daniel was a good man. Still is. He deserved the truth, so I told him everything. And yes, now my whole family knows. Because secrets like that, they don't stay secrets for long. My mom won't look me in the eye. My sister thinks I'm selfish. And maybe I am. But here's what I've learned. Being touched isn't the same as being held. Sex isn't the same as connection. And love, real love, should feel like safety and electricity, not like an obligation you're afraid to disappoint. I spent years ignoring my own needs because I didn't want to make waves. Because Daniel was stable, reliable, kind. But I was starving. For emotional intimacy. For curiosity. For someone to see me, not just reach for me in the dark out of habit. I used to think desire faded with time. But now I think it fades with silence. With resentment. With the slow erosion of trying to keep the peace at the cost of your own aliveness. I don't know if I'm the hero or the villain in this story. I don't know if that matters anymore. What I do know is this. We can love someone deeply and still be wrong for them. We can outgrow a relationship without outgrowing the person. And sometimes, the most painful kind of love is the one that doesn't end in flames, but in quiet goodbyes and unread messages, and the space on the bed that stays cold long after they're gone. So yeah, I went to Vegas to clear my head. What I found was the truth I'd been avoiding. And now, I'm just trying to learn how to live with it. 11.